thanks again for y'all coming today. Those of you that have been here before, you kind of know the deal. If you guys scan the QR code that's on the screen and register on that site, you'll get a copy of the notes. You'll also get a copy of Sarah's presentation, and there'll be a link to the tools that she's going to share with us today that you guys can scan and get that directly, but I'll include that in there as well. Sarah's joining us today to kind of walk us through creating a solid investment plan. I think she's going to be sharing some stuff from KW Wealth. Is that correct? So we're going to get the benefit of hearing some of the stuff that KW Wealth is sharing as part of that organization. So I'm just going to hand it over to her. And then I think once she's done with this part of the presentation, we'll kind of touch on some of the other things that we posted out there and discuss. So we are recording today, so if you could kind of keep your side conversations down to a minimum, please. And we're going to try and make this available for everybody. So anyways, all right, guys. Sarah.
Okay, yay. Do I have a button or something, or what do I do? Push this or push that? I don't know what to
You
push.
tell me what you want, and I'll move it, because I think I have to do it.
Just,
That. Just move right in.
okay.
It's on her.
Yeah, so first disclaimer, not a financial advisor, a CPA, or a technical expert in any of this, so if I say something and you do it and it doesn't go well, sorry. That's my out. Yeah, so back in September, I went to the KW Wealth Workshop in Austin, and it was intense. It was like 8 hours crammed in the room. We had to do a lot of homework before we even went. One of the activities was to build out a net worth plan to get yourself to a net worth of $50 million in, I think it was 20 years or 30 years, maybe 30 years. And so me being the analytical high C person that I am, I took that very literal, and I sat down and I really wrote out the plan, and I took a week of obsessing over spreadsheets. But I learned a ton from it, and I'm really glad that I did it. Not that we're going to get to 50 million, but it kind of opened my eyes to what the possibilities are and how different strategies you can take to get there, and that you really do have to take it serious and make a plan to do it, because it's not going to happen accidentally or on its own, and you have to pay attention. So the first thing they had us do in class, and it's kind of depressing, but I want everybody to actually do it, is this activity right here. So on a piece of paper or something, write down your age on your calculator in your phone. I'm going to redo it because I'm older now. Okay, so take your age. Average life expectancy is 90, so 90 years old minus your age. That's how many years you have left. So take your years times 365. That's the number of days left in our lives. And it doesn't really, it's moving quick. There's no time to waste, I guess, is the point of the exercise. Everybody do it? Get through it?
Did you want us to multiply the years times the days?
Yeah, number of years times 365 days. So that gets you just the number of days you have left. And I'm not going to have any raise their hand or anything, but we kind of went through the room and was like, okay, who's got the most time left? Who has the least time left? And it was kind of a scary exercise to do with a bunch of strangers. But and so the next, there we go. The next thing they talked about was more of just like a mindset thing, like what keeps people from being a millionaire or from really like achieving your financial goals. And there were these are just the things that they put up, but then we all talked about a whole bunch of stuff. And some of it was really just, a lot of it boiled down to like, you don't think you can do it. Like, it sounds like such a ridiculous goal, like $50 million. It sounds like monopoly money, But that was something that he wanted to really get across, was if you make a plan, then that's how you're going to achieve it. You just have to know where you are, where you need to be, and then you fill in the steps to get there. Okay, so the next slide is really kind of where you start getting into figuring out what you need to do. So you can't just say, like, I want to be a millionaire, because is that even, if you're going to have $1 million, like, is that even actually going to get you through retirement, or get you through if you want to retire early, or if you want to leave money to your children? Probably isn't. Really probably isn't. So this exercise here, on the left, is actually, I took it straight from the Empire Building podcast. If any of you have listened to that with Wendy Papasan, so good. So this is episode 143, and actually it's there's many more steps in that podcast, but this particular exercise is just taken straight from that podcast. So you really need to know what you need to live on per month. And so you're actually going to have to pull, like, if you don't track it right now, pull your bank statements and see how much money do I actually spend, because we have an idea in our minds, and it's often less than what we actually spend. So what they wanted to do, get your average. This is how much I need per month, and then look at things you spend money on, big things like I go on 2 vacations a year, and I'm going to need $10,000 for that, or I have kids, and so I know I'm going to need to buy 3 cars in the next 3 years, or something like that. And so you just want an idea of your whole year, what you need to spend in a year. When you get that number, that annual number, multiply it by 25. So let's say, just for round numbers, you need $10,000 a month to live. So we're going over here. So $10,000 a month times 12 months is $120K a year. If you multiply that by 25, I'm sorry. I added $25,000 just as my miscellaneous expenses. Yes, yeah. So that gives you $145,000 that you need to live a year. Multiply that by 25, and that gives you a net worth of $3,625,000. So the reason they do multiplying by 25, this number is how much you need in retirement so that you can pull off $145,000 a year and you don't deplete retirement. So that stays whole, and you just pull off 145, and then that sustains you. So that's why you need to know what you need to live on every year so that you can set that goal. And then it's just how quick can you get to that number. So the other ones, and I don't know if the tools are going to pop up. Are they clickable?
These are just QR codes.
Okay, those are just QR codes. You guys can scan them, and then I guess we're going to email it out too.
Yeah.
Because really the idea is once you figure out where you are and what you need to live, then you need to start tracking your net worth every month if you don't already do it. Is that something, like, just show of hands, like, do you track your net worth at all? Right. Okay. So we started tracking this, we haven't always done this, like in 2020, like when everything started to shut down, and I was very fearful.
You wanted to watch it go backwards?
I didn't really know where we were. Like, I knew what I had in our bank account, but we kind of needed to know, like, ooh, like, nothing's happening, like our business, like, we're both in real estate, so our business shut down. Like, where are we? How far can we get on what we've got? And so we really started having like big financial conversations with each other and with our business coach to help us figure out like, what are we, where we need to be? You know, how do we make a plan to what we want to be? We had never set net worth goals before. And so now every year when we do business planning, that's part of it, is we set a net worth goal for the next year. And we figure like, okay, well, we're going to contribute however much to retirement. We've started buying real estate as investments. So it's like you just figure out what strategies you're going to plug into your plan to get you to your goal. The planning tool 1, so we took planning tool 2 is what KW Wealth provided. It is a massive spreadsheet. Like, it'll take you out 30 years. So it's good for like actually looking at where you want to go. Like I built ours out and I looked at, okay, when our kids graduate high school, it's going to be this year. We're going to have this much. When they possibly get married or graduate college, you know, we're going to be here and we have this much. So how does that affect what we're doing with our money plan? So we have plans to, you know, buy a home in their college town or buy a home wherever they settle for them to manage.
It showed up on the scan.
Uh-huh.
While he's doing that, what is your goal for how much you want to see your net worth grow year over year? Do you have a percentage in mind?
I don't do a percent. Like, we pick a number. So like for the next year, like we didn't hit our number last year. Last year was kind of a capital building year, I guess, for us, like trying to, because we should hit it this year. It took us 2 years. We have a closing that, as long as the appraisal goes well, we'll put investment number 3 we'll close on at the end of next month. But it's more of like, I look ahead and I look at, okay, I'm going to add 1 investment property. I think that'll add 50 to 75K this year to our net worth. The thing that was surprising to me was over the 30 years, how much buying like a $300,000 investment home added in 30 years time. And I did a more conservative, they have real estate investing.
Am I on the wrong sheet?
Yeah, that's the other
Okay,
one.
let me get the other one.
That's okay. They had real estate appreciating like 6% every year, which, no, I don't think that's appropriate.
2% typically, 2%.
Yeah, 3 I think is what I
There
used
you go.
for my personal one. Yeah, so it's huge. It's huge. So the first one is like where you can fill in if you don't have a net worth tracker currently, you can use this one. Just check the formulas because most of them work, but not all of them are. So all your assets, you know, your savings, your checking, cash, any of that, any properties you own on the top, any debt at the bottom, and then it spits out your net worth.
And if this
Yeah.
one doesn't work, there's always the When They Give.
Yeah.
Their Wealth series, they've got an excellent.
Yeah, they've got there's some good ones out there. What I liked about this one is this 30-year plan part, because I hadn't seen one where like it goes by year, so it builds.
This is intimidating to me.
Yeah, see, so here's 2022, and it's a very long spreadsheet. Like it goes, yeah. And they're buying like 200 unit apartment complexes in there. Oh, I don't have a plan for that, but you can see how adding these. I mean, it was depending. Like obviously, like the sooner The sooner you buy it, the longer it has to appreciate, and so the more it affects your net worth. Because buying like a $250,000 or $300,000 investment home now in 30 years was almost $1 million added to your net worth.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing 4 per year for the first several years.
Yes, this person was very ambitious. This is not ours.
And then they jump to a $7 million multifamily.
Yeah, apartment building. But how they're also, if you think about it, how they're doing that, so for investment properties, it's increasing in value, hopefully, and it's cash flowing. You know, a lot of people have different opinions on you buying it for appreciation or cash flowing. I need at least some cash flow. But you're just keeping that, and then like your assets start paying for your assets. So that's how you snowball it faster. So you get like $500 a month in cash flow. It's about what we get from our 2. So that just builds, and then it's gonna, like, it takes care of its own. If there are expenses on the house, like the fence fell over, took care of that. But you know, in a couple of years, that will be a big enough chunk in there that will be what we use to buy another house. So it's like those 2 houses will buy another house, and those 3 houses will buy 2 more houses. So it's the assets buying the assets for you. They also did a lot with like life investment or life insurance, like whole life insurance, but I don't know how I feel about that. So you can read all about it.
Do you try to do fix-me-uppers, or do you just use them? Do you try to do fix-me-uppers in terms of the properties you try to pick up?
Rehabs.
Oh, we are not very handy, so no, to be honest.
Come on, Brandon, really?
I know, man, no.
Sarah's my handyman.
Yeah. I'm the one in there fixing the cabinets and drawers and stuff. We tend to not. But the homes that we have bought are, I mean, one was built in like 81 and one in like 82, so they are older homes. But they've had like the big things, like HVAC is good. We did have one, the pipes burst in the freeze, which was a little scary. And there was a family living in there. And that's why it's important, like cash flow was important for us because we had enough in the account to cover the repairs. We had to replace piping throughout the whole house and all of that. But even with that, like that in my mind when we got started, I was like, that seemed like the worst, scariest thing that could happen. And it happened and we're okay. You know, like we still have the house. The family was okay. They were safe. And you just deal with it like you would, you know, a repair at your own house. Like, just,
So you don't have a property manager involved in it
no,
yourself?
we do it ourselves. Yeah. And really, I spend maybe like an hour a month on it because it's really like I just log in and I make sure they've scheduled their payments, and then I double check. We use apartments.com because it's free for us, it's free for them, and they can schedule ahead. I know because who owns that? CoStar or something?
I believe so.
Yeah, so there's, you know, it's like using Dotloop when Zillow owns it, but it's been very handy for what we've been using it for, and very intuitive and easy. It does take a couple of days, like they pay on the 1st. I don't get it till the 6th or so it takes a couple of days, but they don't take anything out of it. And there's no limit of doors either, like, because I had some concerns about that in the beginning, but.
So you use a particular type of, I guess, provider that allows them to pay the rent into it like online and then it goes directly to your account? Correct?
So that's apartments.com.
That is part of it.
Yeah. So you just log in and you set up like a little house and you add your renters to it and it sends them an invitation and they register and then they can log in. One of our renters just does it every month. The other renter has his for his entire lease term are already scheduled. So it's like, ooh. So that's very nice. And then just if issues come up, you know, every once in a while we will, like we've had to replace a dishwasher, like a disposal, kept having issues, but it's not anything that has been like, oh, I got to get out of this, you know, like I think when I look at our investment portfolio, like we do retirement and things like that, and we do real estate. When I look at how it's changed and what's brought it up over the last couple of years, like, you know, it's been real estate that's been like the A+ student now, and I'm excited to see where that is in like 10 years and 15 years, because even if we have a couple of stale years here for a little bit, you know, over the long haul, it's going to keep on that trend line.